So when you talk about software development, what do you mean by prioritization here in the software development? It could be about the features, it could be about the technologies, about the people, the skills that you need on board, the kind of direction again you need to take for this particular software, whether it's a mobile application, a website, web application, whatever it is that you're developing, right? So you need to take that call. So in that context, if you really look at it, we used to have, I think I told you about this before as well, that as a BA, I used to actually write hundreds and thousands of pages of requirements document at one point of time. This is not even too long ago. I think it was about 12 years ago, 12 to 15 years ago. That was when I used to write just as a functional requirement specification document. It used to go into like 500, 600 page documents, spending 6 months. And to go through all those pages, do you think the developers would actually have the patience and the energy to actually go through each and every page of that detailing of that documents? No. And that's where most of the software projects in the waterfall failed, because either the requirements were not clear, requirements were not clearly communicated, requirements were not managed well, they changed, but then the change was not updated into the document because it's so cumbersome to actually go through all those 500-page requirement document to understand which one was changed. So that's where I think we need to, there's a big onus, there's a big kind of drive to go in terms of agile. So in the context of software development, that would translate in the form of, let's say, user story. So that huge 500-page document, sifting through that and then deciding what is important, what's urgent, is so cumbersome, so difficult, such a huge task to actually do that, compared to, let's say, pick up a user story right on the back of this particular, let's say it could be written on the back of this index card is what I was saying the last time around. So you could actually take it, and then I can write a user story here. As a user, I can do this so that I can get this benefit. I would like to do this so that I get this benefit. So you write this here and you prioritize, you work on this, and that would enable the conversations and the confirmation, so on and so forth, right? So the shift from the humongous documentation to the lightweight documentation of a user story on the back of a card, that's the major shift. That's the reason why we need to really appreciate the importance of prioritization. That shift actually kind of enabled the teams to do this prioritization. Before, it was not the teams, it was not the development, it was not the programmers who estimated, it was not them who prioritized, it was not them who delivered or who owned the delivery. It was always somebody else. It was a business or the project manager or somebody else or the customer who actually kind of estimated. They gave when this should be done. They actually dictated by what time, how much time you should spend, how much of effort you need to spend as a team. And they were the people who actually kind of putting things on, they were pushing it. Whereas here with the agile development, it's the pull. It's the opposite of that. They're empowered. The team is empowered to be able to do the estimation themselves. They do the estimation. They commit to the estimates. They actually work on that. They prioritize their own tasks and they deliver. And they own the whole delivery. If there is any problem, the team owns up. And then they actually, again, work to fix the defects and the issues, right? So with the agile, you need to understand that there is a total shift of focus and shift of the way we work in terms of prioritization as well. So for example, this is actually a live example of one of the projects that I worked on. I don't want to actually name it because it's confidential. I don't want to give out the client's confidentiality and other things, but I would just like to bring it to you. This was done about a good 8 years ago. I mean, this was done using Excel spreadsheet, as you would have seen. Using Excel, using simple things. I mean, you can do prioritization on the back of a card. You can do it with Excel, with Word, with just on a piece of paper. You can write, you can do that. So it would help you to kind of understand that there's something called the requirement ID, and you've got some theme here. It could be site, it could be admin, it could be content. And then here you're actually trying to specify the role, facilities manager, user, GZ user, blah, blah, regional manager. And then you can say, as a user, I should be able to enter the details of the new site. So I get the benefit. So I can add new sites to be maintained. I can activate the newly added site so that I can make it important to be maintained, right? So here, this is the benefit column. So you should read this whole thing in like a user story. As a GC user, I would like to view the newly updated site so that I can verify the site's details. So here, site is actually kind of not a website or web application. The site here is basically like a physical property, like a store, like a Tesco's, like a Walmart, like some of these big stores. And a train station, for example, is a site. So a bus station, a train station, a hospital that needs maintenance in terms of cleaning up the stuff or anything like that. So this is what is the site here, just for your understanding. And then we have a description or note as to what that is. And then we have what I did then back in those days was actually kind of had this concept of twin prioritization, important from the context of the business and urgency in terms of, again, the business, but also technical feasibility as well. So I've given the importance in terms of Moscow, and then the urgency in terms of ABC prioritization. So again, we'll talk about each of these in greater detail later, but just wanted to bring in the aspect of how we do the prioritization within software. And again, there's another one, or maybe I think there's another example of that, but what we do again is kind of give the priority in terms of 1, 2, 3s, a different project, but with the same client. So here we've used a different format, different way of doing things. And then we actually have the prioritization here in the form of 1, 2, and 3. 1 being very, very important, very urgent, and 2 being medium, and 3 being not so urgent. So you can have a different way of prioritization of things. You can actually kind of, this is a user story. As a facilities manager, I should be able to mark site as inactive so that I can manage it, manage all the inactive sites later. I can take them off the list. And then you can actually assign the priority to that in the form of like 1s, 2s. This snapshot, you can actually see it's all 2s, but then the other, it's actually a huge list. You're only seeing about 63 items, but there are about 2,300 such stories in that project. So you can imagine how important and how handy this kind of prioritization really helps. To be able to manage out of 2,300 items, you should be able to actually pull out, let's say, 10 items every sprint and do that. So again, that's the reason why I'm saying that it's very, very vital that you do prioritization continuously. It's not just done once in the beginning of the project. No, with agile and with all these things coming, the agile development, it's all about continuous development, continuous integration, continuous delivery. So you do it every often. You do pretty much almost every day as a product manager. But once you have the items, let's say from 46 through to 52, if you've got these items in the sprint, in the next sprint, that is sprint, let's say sprint 22 is the next sprint starting the Monday, the next week for 2 weeks, then these items would be locked. They should not be changed. So they are kind of locked for changes. Nobody can change them except the team in terms of how they want to actually move them up or down. So the product manager should not come into this 46 through 52 and change those, but then he or she can work on the other rest of the items in the backlog. They can actually move them up or down. They can actually push them to the next sprint, the following sprint, or whatever it is. That depends on their prioritization. But once you push these 46 through to 52 into the sprint plan, then that's locked, that's frozen. They should not touch, they should not move. But then the development team could actually have a go at these 7 items, and then they can actually say which one they need to work on first and next. Or sometimes they actually want to split that story into some sub-stories, or create epic out of them, join 2, 3, or merge them. So those are the decisions which the team can take. So we're going to discuss those in detail in the later part of the presentation, but you understand where we're going through, right? So we are really talking about prioritization as a continuous activity done pretty much by everyone in the team. It's not just the analyst or the product owner or the business, but with the development team, they prioritize pretty much every